So today we're going to make sweet and sour meatballs. You're going to need some ground beef, some black pepper, some Worcestershire sauce, garlic, onions, an egg, breadcrumbs, and whatever seasoning you like. Today I'm going to use curry powder and paprika, but you could use Italian seasoning or any other kind of seasoning that you would like. So first we're just going to take all of these ingredients and add them into the ground meat. So we're going to add the garlic and the onions. I'm going to grind some black pepper. If you don't have a pepper mill, just use regular black pepper. It's not a big deal. It's just nice to have the fresh ground. Put a few splashes of Worcestershire sauce in. This just helps bring out the flavor of the meat. It's especially nice in beef. And then whatever seasoning you want to use. You could, like I said before, you could really use anything. I've done this with Italian seasoning and Parmesan cheese before, which turns out really nice. Or you could use oregano, or you could flavor it with some rosemary, whatever you like. And then take your egg and crack it in on the top. Make sure you don't get any shells in there. Don't want a big crunchy bit. And then just use your hands and break the egg up, and then we're going to mix the whole thing in with our hands. So make sure if you have any rings on, you take them off because you don't want to get any meat in your ring. So I just kind of squish and twist with my hand and mix it all around. You want to make sure everything gets mixed in evenly, so turn it over, mix it up from the bottom. Like I said, today I'm doing this with ground beef, but I've also made it with ground turkey. You could use like say ground lamb or anything that you'd like. So when you start to add the breadcrumbs, just do it gradually. You don't need too much. We'll sprinkle them over the top here to start out with and mix those in. The breadcrumbs and the egg help to bind the meat and everything together. So it should kind of start to come together. I just need a little bit more here, and should absorb some of the liquid that's in the meat. And once it starts to come together, you'll feel it'll start to hold together better and start sticking. And then once you get it to a good consistency, you just want to take a little piece and roll it in your hands. I make mine usually just a little bit smaller than a golf ball, but you can do whatever size you'd like, and then lay them on a pan that's lined with parchment paper. Once your tray is full, you can pop it into an oven that's at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. If your meatballs were a little bit smaller, you would want to cook them a little bit less, and if your meatballs are a little bit bigger, then you want to cook them for a little bit longer. So we'll get these into the oven and we will move on to making the sauce while these are cooking. For the sauce, you're going to need cornstarch, a can of chunk pineapples, some brown sugar. This is the juice straight off the pineapple, some ketchup, some vinegar, and some soy sauce. So in a small saucepan, you just want to add the ingredients. I'll post the actual proportions for the sauce on the blog, but the measurements are rough. You don't have to be exact with it. So I've got my cornstarch and my brown sugar in the pot. And this is the pineapple juice that I drained off of the chunks. You need about a little more than a cup of liquid, so if you don't have enough pineapple juice, just add a little bit of water to make up the volume. And then I'm going to add my ketchup. Again, you can see my measurements are rough, so it's not an exact science. And then the soy sauce, or a little bit of salt. And then we'll add the vinegar for that nice tang. Gives it the sour part of the sweet and sour sauce. And then you can turn the heat on now that we've got all the ingredients in there, and take a small whisk and mix all the ingredients together. You'll find the cornstarch kind of sticks on the bottom of the pot, so you want to use a whisk to get it all up off the bottom and incorporate it fully into the liquid part of the sauce. If you don't whisk it, it can end up turning lumpy, so you also want to whisk occasionally while it's heating until it comes to a boil. So just on and off every minute or so. Once you see it starting to bubble, you're going to want to whisk it constantly from this point forward until you've reached the desired thickness that you want for your sauce. If you don't keep whisking it, you'll kind of end up with like a lumpy sauce, so it's really important at this point to continue to whisk it and watch the consistency. The boiling is what activates the cornstarch to thicken the sauce. You can test it with your whisk, and then once you have it the way that you like it, you can turn the heat off and give it another quick stir here, and then actually remove it completely from the heat so that it doesn't over thicken. By now your meatballs should be done, so we can take those out of the oven. And I have a Pyrex dish here that's a little bit smaller than a 9x13. And I'm going to Pam it so that it's easy to clean when we're done. And then I'm going to start putting the meatballs into the Pyrex dish. You want them spaced out a little bit so that the sauce can kind of settle down in between the meatballs and get all around it and good. So yeah, you just want to leave a little bit of space in between each meatball, but no, not so far apart that, that you can't fit them all in the pan. And they don't have to be perfect rows. Oh, my little helper is here with his spoon, trying to get into dinner before it's done. And then the can of pineapple chunks that we drained off the liquid for the sauce, we're going to pour those over the top of the meatballs. It doesn't have to be anything special, just try and spread them out evenly so that there's some pineapple everywhere. And once those are in, now we're ready to pour our sauce over. And again, just try to even out your sauce, pour it over the whole thing, and so that every meatball is getting some sauce on it. There it is, all ready to go. If it's not quite even, you can just spread it out with a spatula, and then we're going to pop it into the oven. So again, this is going in 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes. I'm going to serve my meatballs with some orzo pasta tonight, so I have a pot of boiling water that's been salted. I'm about 5 minutes out on my meatballs, so orzo cooks quite quickly. You want to make sure you give it a good stir because it tends to stick together. It's like a rice-shaped pasta. It's quite nice. And yeah, I just want to give it a stir so it doesn't all stick together. And then once you get close to the end, you're going to want to just test the pasta for doneness, and assuming it's all done, you can just strain it out into a strainer and pop it back into the pot, and we should be ready to go here. Our meatballs are ready to come out, and the sauce is bubbling and it's smelling good, and I'm getting hungry. Ready for dinner. So we'll just scoop some of the pasta into the bowl. You could use potatoes or rice or any other kind of pasta that you want. It really doesn't matter what you serve it with. And then we're going to scoop some of the meatballs, a little bit of the pineapple, and spoon some of the sauce over the top. This is a great meal for kids. They love it. And us adults love it too. And it's easy. Prep takes a little while, but it's not too difficult. I'm sure you can do it, and it's delicious. Thanks!